Welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, where we uncover the powerful truth about your beginnings and how they've shaped your entire life. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and in this show, we're not just exploring your birth, we are dismantling the chains of generational trauma. We're diving into the core of who you are, peeling back layers of inherited beliefs and behaviors that have held you back for far too long. This isn't just about understanding your past, it is about reclaiming your future. Get ready to break free. This is Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, and your transformation starts now. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, your host for Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance. And today I was going to have a wonderful guest, Jo Dunn, again for the second time. She's a midwife and a radical birth keeper and all of that. And that's the show that's being advertised. But obviously, I think she's being called to a birth because she's nowhere to be found at this moment, and that's not her way. So, for the second time since I've been hosting this show, I'm here and I'm just going to wing it and talk to you all about all of the assorted stuff that I know. And even this kind of situation, if you think about it, like, are you a person who can just wing it when you don't have anything prepared for a backup plan? Are you a person that pushes through? Or are you a person that, no, it's all over, collapse? I spoke to the producer, should we play an old show again? And I thought, well, no, let's do something new because I know stuff, right, that people don't know. So I am a push through person. And in fact, I had long COVID for 3 years. And during that time, I was constantly pushing through until finally, after so many viruses and getting shingles finally stopped me. Like each one got worse, right? And with shingles, I couldn't push through anymore. And I thought, wow, okay, so this is really my body. I mean, anytime we get sick, it's not long COVID, or if you break a bone or something, when your body is forced to stop, the universe is telling you, like it's a real sign from the universe. This is time to chill out and stop whatever you're doing. And so I bought lounge chairs. It happened to be really sunny summer a couple summers ago, and I laid in the lounge chair and got super brown. I thought, right, I am really being forced to stop. But I had to really learn that the hard way. And I'm past long COVID now and feeling great, and I don't get viruses anymore. And I'm going to talk to you all about that in a minute. But what I really learned that year was something that has profoundly affected and changed my life since. Even though I'm back to being Wonder Woman, I've got my invisible cape behind me. I know that when I am feeling really low and tired, I always try to, we all have a low point during the day, right? So I lay down and have a meditation. I listen to sound waves, frequencies, different frequencies for whatever vibe I think I need. I have an Omni mat that has copper coils in it and sends out earth energy, right? So that I can get revved up, because sometimes getting out the door later to go dancing, I feel finished, but I really want to go dancing. So I need to find that second energy to push through, but I don't want to feel like I'm pushing through at my own expense. So, since that time, a couple of years ago now, I know to take care of myself physically. I do not push through things anymore. If I need to take a whole day off because my head isn't in it or my body just doesn't have the energy for whatever reason, it's like that, like, "Oh, okay, fine, I'll rest." And it's always good. I'm always better for it. So that's a lesson in itself. Learn to know yourself. Don't learn everything the hard way. If you're a natural push through person, then pay attention to that, because we're humans and we're not always built to push through. So that's energy. That's energy flowing through your body. What I did when I had long COVID, in case any of you do, because my life motto was I don't get sick. And generally, I wouldn't get sick. Okay, I'd catch the flu here and there, but I'm not a vaccination person. I mean, I had all of them and more when I was a kid because we moved to Argentina when it was still a third world country. So I've had lots of vaccinations. But COVID and all of that stuff, and even the flu vaccine, I was like, no, not for me. I have to follow my intuition on that. So with long COVID, I was catching every single virus out there, which was awful. And I just didn't know how to cope with being sick all the time. Long COVID has finally ended and I'm not sick all the time. But with long COVID, I spoke to naturopaths, I took tinctures, I went to acupuncture, I read everything, I took all sorts of supplements, I radically changed my diet. I did everything under the sun to heal. And then I found LifeWave patches and I did a show which aired on the 14th of July with Julie Tara, if you want to look on YouTube, all about LifeWave patches. That's these things. This is the X39, and it's the major patch that you put on your C5, and that activates the central cell in your body so that it'll go towards anything that your body needs. Because basically, our stem cells become dormant the older we get. That's why babies are kind of made of rubber and they can heal so quickly because their stem cells are like fully active. So we need a little bit of help. And it's just a small patch like this. And you get a sleeve of 30 patches. And so you peel off the back and stick it on. And they have different patches for different things. So this one, I put that on, and in 24 hours, my low grade chronic back pain disappeared and it's never come back. So that made me pay attention. This is Ice Wave, that's for pain. And the idea with these patches is that you wear them for a month for every decade that you're alive, especially if you have kind of chronic or serious issues. I didn't really have anything seriously wrong. I mean, long COVID, but I didn't have an injury. I didn't have a disease, an illness, tumors, anything like that. I just wanted to feel better. But sometimes from dancing, despite all the magnesium I take at night, I get severe cramps in my feet and legs because I don't just dance a little bit. I go out and push through and I dance. I dance for 2, 3 solid hours with barely sitting down. So, and I can be woken up in the middle of the night screaming in agony and pain. And I put two of these on. The pain patches is a 2-patch system and the pain goes immediately, which is really cool. So this is my savior in reserve. Energy enhancers are also a 2-patch system. The tan patch always goes on the left side, the white patch on the right side, and this was the first patch that David Schmidt, who developed these patches and started LifeWave, created. I think he was working in the forces somehow and they needed more energy. So he did this. And then he tried them out with an Olympic swimming team, and all of their stats increased radically overnight the minute they started wearing these, because these keep your mitochondria in your body working properly. So love these, wear them every day. Carnosine is a patch for brain health, getting rid of brain fog, all of those sort of things. And intuitively, I just put that there, like in my heart brain, because I know they're connected. They probably do all sorts of other things too, but just generally. Glutathione, which is something that we produce in our own bodies. It it's like for detoxing your body. So I wear that on my foot. It's probably the liver meridian. And all of these patches basically activate your own GHKCU, which is the copper peptide that we all have in our body, which is used for healing and aging gracefully and all of those good things. So they all stimulate that. and none of them have any chemicals or anything that go into your body. They're non-transdermal. So in the patch, there's a little matrix of molecules and water and oxygen or whatever the science is about it. And the heat from your body, the infrared light, the heat from your body is what activates the patch so that it sends a message for whatever the patch is about to your brain and the rest of your body so that it can do what it's meant to do. Really scientific there, but I wouldn't live without them. When I discovered them, I thought, wow, this is God's gift to being in your 60s because suddenly all those kind of aches and pains I had in my body, I heard myself sitting down, like groaning and getting up. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is not fun. I'm supposed to be youthful and energized all the time. So it really made a difference. X49, you might see some famous athletes with a patch on them here and there because these are really for athletes or something to do with your circulation. They work really well with the X39 patch. So I wear them because I want all the help that I can possibly get. And since I've also suffered from Raynaud's syndrome, where your fingers turn white and get kind of numb. It can be sort of painful. My dad has this really bad. And living here in Yorkshire, where it's pretty not summer most of the time, that's reduced a lot in me since I've been wearing these. And then the SP6, I think this is it has something to do with balancing your hormones. That's why I wear it. But I think it's also an appetite suppressant, which doesn't really apply to me because I'm not. I love good food, good healthy food, but I can go for ages without ever thinking about my next meal. So it depends if you're a foodie or not a foodie. Anyway, so the patches, I'm telling you about them again because even though they boost your physicality, our physical environment is directly connected to our mental environment. Because if you're in pain or if you're chronically exhausted, like I was with COVID, or if your brain just isn't working, which happens as we age, it happens with menopause, it happens for all sorts of reasons with all of the stuff out there in the world, all the radiation, all the 5G, all of it is impacting us in a way that our human bodies didn't used to be impacted. So I don't want to take medication for anything. I have to be about dying before I'll even have a paracetamol. I'm not against mainstream medicine at all. I think it's important. Go have all your tests, but I want to be preventative about my health and I want to make sure that my body is functioning at its very best so that I can feel the very best in my skin. They also have a skin patch and a sleep patch. I stopped using the sleep patch because it worked too well. I'm out dancing till 11:30 some nights, and it balanced my circadian rhythm so well. I was just desperate to get in bed by 9:30 every night, and I thought this doesn't fit with my lifestyle. So I stopped the sleep patches. The skin patch, I'll probably start using that again. I stop and start things to see if I notice a difference, to try other products, whatever. And in the States right now, they have an amazing water filter that has magic powers. I don't know. It's not available in the UK yet, so I can't really talk to that. But it's an amazing way to take care of yourself. Mainstream medicine deals with your issues once you have it, and then it's about how to keep that at bay or maintain it. But why get the issue in the first place if you can be healthy from the inside out? So it's a mindset change. And with all the years of working with energy and flow and belief systems to keep my neural pathways clear in my brain, to make sure that I'm thinking positive thoughts so that I can change everything. I mean, I've radically changed my life. So when I heard about this 20-year company with all of the patents and all of the awards and all of the amazing, happy, healthy people involved in it, and if a friend was in it, try this. Okay, let's see what happens. And it made me pay attention. So that's something for you. If you're interested in that, please contact me because I'd love to speak to you about it more because I just want to help people in whatever way. So, right now, my poor youngest son, the one who made me a grandmother this January, and my other son is making me a grandmother again come November. So, this is the year of granddaughters. Um, my youngest son is in Montenegro right now with his beautiful wife and baby, and his back is spasming like out of control. And he called me nearly crying on the phone last night, which I thought was really sweet. Like calls mom, and I was kind of joking with I was at dance class and I was joking with my friends that I've been telling my kids that I have magic powers their whole lives. So now he's in another country, so he obviously believes me. He's going to call me for my magic powers. But I do. So I was sending him distant healing and helping him meditate through it because when we're in acute pain, it's really bad. And he did go finally see a chiropractor over there today and get some pain meds. Sometimes there's really a time for that. And he called me and he said, Mom, I really want to do belief work with you. And I thought, how wonderful this is. And I said, well, it's true because even though he's having a great year and he's a hands-on dad and he loves his wife and he's got the most beautiful baby and a job that he adores, which he's great at, and they love him. He's like, it's been a great year, but it's been really challenging. And I said, sweetie, stress is stress, whether it's good stress, moving house, like number two on the highest stress thing, moving house, biggest stress. Good. Yay, we're getting a new house. Stressful. So suddenly, he's carrying the whole weight of being a new father, of all of the finances while his wife is still on maternity leave, of his job, of trying to hold it all together for everybody, right? And he's extremely empathic, of course. He's my kid. So whenever Shani is his wife, whenever she's feeling the new happy stresses of motherhood, he's taking that on too, right? And this is what we all do all the time with our kids, with our partners, with our friends, with our jobs. We take on all of these stresses. But we can't have a meltdown mentally or physically every day of the week because we've got things to do. We've still got to go to work. We've got to manage our lives, right? And so I told him whenever Bobby Baby, my ex-husband, his dad, would, whenever he would take time off of work and we'd go down to visit his mother, he would always get sick. And he did just say this too, because Rome was also on the phone with Bob, and Bob said, yeah. And Rome said, yeah, Dad told me that. And I said, so you're finally on holiday. You don't have to hold it all together. So, of course, your back is going to start really acting up right now. So later, over the phone, even though it's from distance, but we'll be connected, I will do some specific belief work with him around the good stresses and challenges in his life at the moment because we are what we think consciously and subconsciously. And there also could be some ancestral stuff. I'm sure you've all heard of Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic. I get her newsletters. My dad absolutely adores her. He's met her personally in workshops. And one of her newsletters was recently about some rare incurable disease that she had tumors on the bottom of her feet. And she's an avid walker. She's a traveler and walks and walks. But if you have these tumors on the bottom of your feet, you can't walk because you're in dire pain. So, of course, she studied everything, went to find, and she found a healer. And it was all ancestral stuff that she was holding. And guess what? She healed it all, changed her diet because your diet is really, really crucial. You've got to get on an inflammation-free diet because if you, oh, one of these packs I didn't show you, I don't have it here. It's called the Aeon patch, and that's for inflammation. If you have anything wrong with you in your body, you have inflammation. So if I have a point of pain somewhere, not chronic enough for the pain patch, I'll just put an inflammation patch right on the point of pain, and that usually dissolves that pain. So inflammation in your body is a really serious thing. So whatever physical thing you have going on with you, if you're really trying to get to the root of it, inflammation is going to be in there somehow. And usually you need to clean your liver because most people's livers are um, loaded with old stuff. But it's all part of our energy system. So I started with all of the mental stuff because I could see the wounding from my childhood. I could see the belief systems that I was still carrying from perceptions that I made as a child without having the full story. I could see how I modeled things from both parents. And whether you think you're modeling it from your parent or not, if that's the story that you have, that's all you know. So, kids, we need to kind of believe everything that our parents tell us because that's our safety mechanism. Our parents need to be right, even if intrinsically and fundamentally as children we're not buying it. For our safety, we need to believe our parents because that's our survival mechanism when we're very, very little. And that goes in deeply into our cellular structure. So we go through our life getting triggered over things that don't make sense to us. And it might not have anything to do with us. It might not even be yours. You could be holding your parents' stuff, right? So look at your parents, look at that childhood. What was your position in the family? Were you the rescuer? Were you the troublemaker? Were you the parent to your parents? Were you the one who was not enough or ignored? Maybe you had 10 siblings. Were you lost in the bunch? What did you have to do to get your parents' attention when you were little? It it matters. Track yourself back. And if you can, find out about your ancestors. What were you given coming into this life, right? So my ancestors on my father's side are Irish, O'Flaherty, right? And we were the ferocious O'Flahertys, and we were a fighting clan, and we used to steal from the rich and keep it. And probably there was a lot of alcoholism. The other side is English. My mother's ancestry is English, a lot of alcoholism on both sides. So guess what? Two alcoholic parents came down. I mean, I think my mother's alcoholism saved me from becoming an alcoholic because I was so terrified of that. So I was very aware of that. They both healed. AA saved my family. So also genetic things. If there's diseases on both sides of the family that have been passed down, you need to look at that. Because even though we live in the world right now where they tell you that this disease is incurable, in the world that I live in, everything everything is curable, that your belief systems could really be in the way of that. But Elizabeth Gilbert just proved that her incurable disease that she had on the bottom of her feet went away. Yeah, with magic healing powers. And it was ancestral stuff that she was holding in her body. Years ago, I was in the jungle taking ayahuasca with my ayahuasquero, a true master. I do travel far and wide to work with the masters themselves. And I had gained a whole lot of weight, and I've never been super heavy, but I had gained, put on 30 or 40 pounds or something like that. And I went to him in the jungle. I'm like, you know me. Like, what is all of this? I'm just holding all of this. And he said, you're holding all of your ancestor stuff. And I was like, well, they can just take all of their stuff back. And he said, take it to ceremony. And I thought, okay. And so I communicated with my ancestors during ceremony. I communicated to them about when they felt like they were starving, when they felt like they needed that it might be their last meal, that they were like holding on to food because they were hungry. All sorts of other stuff came up. And the weight of my ancestors was manifesting as physical weight in me, even though I tried lots of things to lose it. And then after that ceremony, my head trip changed about it, obviously. And then I lost 30 or 40 pounds pretty easily and pretty quickly. I mean, I did go on a diet to do it, but you all know if you've ever been on a diet that the hardest part of going on a diet is getting your head in the head trip in the first place to be able to do it. But I managed to do that. So look at your ancestral patterns. Did they come from a war zone? Were they living in extreme poverty? Were they in a super, super hot country, sweating all the time, dying of heat? Or were they freezing, freezing, freezing? Were they always having to fight for their land? Were they being killed or kicked off of their land? Look at all of that stuff and see how that impacts you in those kind of background ways in your head, because these are the little hits of knowing of the truth that we get. The other really interesting thing you might want to look at, and this is not as weird as it sounds, in fact, it was even my specialty working shamanically, is if somebody has died recently, maybe their soul has not zipped off into the light. Maybe it has zipped into you instead. And often this happens, and they don't know they're doing that. They don't do that on purpose generally. Souls usually zip into somebody because either they're afraid of dying, and you have to have an affinity for that soul. The soul who's dying, they're either afraid of dying, or they want to keep an eye on somebody else in the family, or maybe they're in an accident and they don't know that they've died, and you happen to have been with them, right? So they just zip into you. And if that's happened, and I've told people who've never heard of that concept before, and when you tell them that, it's like they know because they know the truth of that person that's in them. And they take on their physical characteristics. So recently I met a woman online. I've never met her in person face to face, and we were talking. I did a little mini session with something with her, and it was very, very clear to me that she had her father in her and all of his issues, digestive issues, lots of physical problems. And I said, think you have your dad in you. Of course, she'd never heard of that. And I used Rome, my son who's in Montenegro, because he's a really good surrogate, because he's a big, strong guy, non toxic, self assured. And we pulled her dad out, and all of her physical conditions cleared up right away. She said it was the most profound thing she'd ever experienced in her life. I've had other amazing stories about pulling out dead people and sending them to the light. We don't just pull them out so they can float around, zip into somebody else. We send them off to the light. So if somebody close to you has died and suddenly you feel like their issues are your issues, their diseases are suddenly your issues, or your life radically changes because not because of other circumstantial things, then you might want to look at that and call me. I can usually find that out super easy in just a conversation, and then you can decide what you want to do with that. But it's not good. We want to have our the dead people who've gone, the people we love and care, we want to have them around us. We want them to be guardian angels close to us, but we don't want to have any soul. We don't want to host any soul inside our bodies. So that's a really important thing. I know one show I spoke about all of the energy work that I do and all of the stuff, but I didn't speak about that. I didn't speak about the more kind of weird and wonderful stuff, but that's something that I do, and it is extremely powerful. Um, I saw a man who, and this was early on when I was brand new at this stuff, and he was really kind of shy and inward, and he stuttered a lot. And he said, other psychic people have said that my mother is is close to me and around me all the time. I'm like, yeah, she's close, all right. Yeah, she was in him because they were both sick when she was dying, and he was in hospital when he was a little kid and had a lot of siblings. And so she was worried about him. So she died and zipped into him, and he'd been holding her all this time. So I pulled out the mother, and I, it was fascinating. His entire personality changed. No more stutter. He had a different posture. He just was, it was like, what happened to the guy who came in here? It was really, really fascinating. So this is a real thing. I know it sounds way out, but with the experiences I've had and the things I've seen, I can't not believe in the things that I believe in. And equally, we can have crystallized energies. What it's called is if something physical, not a person, if something is sticking in you, it can cause physical pain. I will be looking at this with my son later, maybe more when he comes back from holiday, so I can actually get my hands on him and check the energy on his back. I'll do what I can from a distance, but we can have a crystallized energy stuck in us, and it can pinch us. It can feel like there's a pinched nerve or just a pain or something like that. And also early on, I was with friends, and he had chronic stomach issues. He'd been to every doctor, been everywhere. They're like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your mind. And I said, mind if I have a look? And I tracked his energy. Oh, look at that. There's like a 2x4 piece of wood sticking through his stomach. And his wife starts to freak out. And I was like, what? What's your problem? Why are you freaking out? And she said, well, nothing upsets this guy. Nothing flusters him. It's like, yeah, I know that. And she said, but we were watching a program about weird accidents that people have had, and she was like, look, come look at this. And some man had been impaled on a pole, on a wooden spear or something, and he completely loses the plot. And she's like, what is wrong with you? Because obviously that had happened to him in some other lifetime, but that trauma energetically was still there. So I pull out the wood, clear up his energy, and guess what? No more stomach problems. Quite fascinating, huh? So I've seen lots of things. It's very fascinating when you're tuning into energy. It's not always wood. It can be something metallic. It's a fascinating thing to do. It's never what I think of first because why would you think of that first? You think about your muscles contracting, you think about the actual human capabilities, but all of this energy stuff is real. Energy is real. Like one of my students said, I used to think energy was like Santa Claus. I was like, well, energy is real, and everybody everywhere has an experience of energy. So if for some reason you're feeling suddenly just off and nothing is shifting, there's probably something wrong with your energy. And usually it's just that your energy is blocked somewhere, because when we're stressed, upset, angry, heartbroken, we're going to hold that stuck energy in one chakra or another. You know, the chakra, the energy vortexes that line up in your body, and they all deal with different organs in your body. So your energy is going to be stuck in your body somewhere. And this is why people get stuck. I can't do any, I'm just stuck. I can't move forward, because they're all trying to move forward like this when their body energetically is out of alignment and over here. So, how can you move forward if your body isn't lined up with your energy? If your energy isn't lined up with your body, that is. So, you need to get your energy back in alignment, and then you can be back and flow and move forward again. So, normal grounding things you hear: go outside, stand barefoot in the grass, or lay on the grass, hug a tree, all of those things. Being in nature is very, very good, keeps you grounded. Usually, for little things, like if we're driving and something happens, your energy will shift out for a second, but then it'll go back normally when we're aligned. But sometimes, if you have a prolonged period of stress or some prolonged period of emotion, grief, heartbreak, illness, disease, all of that, your energy can gather up and stay stuck for quite some time. And if your energy is stuck and not circulating properly in the right way through your body, you're going to feel stuck. And if your energy is stuck for too long anywhere, this is how disease starts. Also, with your thinking. So, all of these, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I'm not deserving, which so many people have, these things, depending on how bad it is. And if you have a fear of something, these can grow and create disease or upset or some kind of disorder in your body. So it's really good to do belief work. So years and years ago, I found a lump in one of my breasts and I was like, wow, okay. Wow, this is super scary. And okay, I called the doctor. I got an appointment in England. It's like, yes, we can see you in 3 weeks. I was like, no, 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 you're seeing me today. But the thing is full. You might have to wait all day. I'm like, fine, I'll wait all day because I knew I would stress out totally in 3 weeks over not knowing. So I went, I waited all day. I brought a book. And I went to Vianna Stibel's Theta Healing Disease and Disorder book, and I read about breast cancer, and I looked at all of the possible belief systems in there, and I muscle tested every single one of them to make sure I did not have any subconscious beliefs lurking in me anywhere about having breast cancer, because my paternal grandmother had breast cancer. I don't think it runs down that line of the family, but nevertheless, after calling the doctor and making the appointment, I spent a long time doing belief work and anything that could possibly be related to make sure that I wasn't holding on to something subconsciously that I was unaware of because I wanted to be clear. And so by the time they saw me, I mean, the nurses there, they're like, God, you're so calm. We've never seen anybody this calm. And I was like, well, I'll worry about it once I know the truth of things. I'm here to make sure I'm okay. So don't ignore what's going on in yourself because our body gives us messages all the time. Just like we get all of those little messages from the universe all the time. Like every time I see a creature, I look up. I know quite a few of them now, just off the top of my head. But if I don't know it, I look it up. Well, what's that about? That's random. The other day I was driving home and there was a peacock on the side of the road, and I was like, "Yeah, that's a peacock. That is random." And I thought, okay, well, what's that about? So I looked that up to see what was going on. And like astrology, it's fascinating. Take from it what you will, take it with a pinch of salt. But there's all sorts of things going on in the heavens right now. We just had the Lion's Gate, the 8-8, which was an amazing time to manifest things. We're still in that energy. We have a solar eclipse coming up. It's tomorrow evening here in England from, let's see, I think I wrote it down, 6:20 to 8:10 p.m. here in England. I don't know when that's happening in other countries, but that's when it is here. And that's a good time to look at your shadow part. Like, what's going on in the shadows of me? What's the secret I'm keeping to myself? Right? Because we all know our truth, and some of us are really good at ignoring all those red flags. But I learned a long time ago that if there's a red flag, okay, it's something to notice. If there's more than one red flag, it is really something to pay attention to. And how is it that I'm attracting that in what I'm noticing in the situation I'm in the relationship I'm in, with the person I'm in this exchange, what's going on? Because nothing is ever separate from us because we're all connected. We're in that grid, that universal grid that connects us to all there is all the time, right? The butterflies start to wave their wings in one place and it sets off a chain reaction across the universe, and we're all connected. So we have that amazing dance, and it's like a figure eight of energy. So it comes from you or from another person into the other person and back again. not just with people. We have that dance with absolutely everything, with my laptop, with your desk, with your creature, with your furniture in your room. This is what feng shui is all about. The energy. You move something and it changes the flow of energy in the room. I don't really understand all of that. I don't understand astrology. I don't understand a lot of these modalities, but I believe them because I know that energy is everywhere and we are energetic beings and that the energy needs to flow in whatever it is. So you can take it to any extreme you want. But I think when things are off, like if everything's been going and then suddenly, and often things happen in patterns, people go 3 times and that means this, whatever it is. But if you have a repeating pattern in anything, that is the time to investigate that and pick it apart. Look at what's underneath that. And sometimes people don't notice the repeating patterns. This is what I'm really good at, noticing a pattern in different circumstantial things with different situations in different times. But there's often a repeating pattern in there that we've been carrying through childhood, right? And know yourself. What do you do when the chips are down, right? I isolate, and I know it's bad. Don't isolate. Don't do that, but I do, and I know I do it. I still do it, but I'm aware of it, right? So I know when I'm isolating. So I make a conscious effort to reach reach out to people who understand me deeply, best girlfriends. Like this year, I thought, yeah, I'm going to go see best girlfriends that I haven't seen in a long time and be better about reaching out to people because I can really not be very good at that, right? So I know this in myself. And I know when I do that, it has knock-on effects. I stop going dancing, which is my favorite thing to do in the world. It keeps me alive. It's my social set because I live and work alone. So when I go dancing, I get all those warm and fuzzy strokes of hello, how you doing? Kiss, kiss, hug, hug, love your dress, you look great, whatever it is, because we need that human interaction. This is why people, when they've been working in a job for 60 years and then they retire and then they die because they don't have these human daily interactions of acknowledging that you're alive, of acknowledging your existence. Oh, look, I'm actually warm enough in English summer to take my top off. Ooh, it's a miracle. The sun is really out and the sky is actually blue. It happens sometimes. So we need other humans, even those of us who are very introverted and don't want to be around lots of people. Like don't put me in a huge crowd and in a parade. No, 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 no. Don't like that at all. But we do need to have regular communication and connection with other humans for our own well-being. Just like we need to drink water, we need to sleep, we need to move our bodies, and ideally, we need to eat healthy, good, organic food. My friend Lisa, was here from December, January, February to March, all winter with her partner. And she's a fundamental gut health nutritionist. So she got me totally on all organic food, which was amazing. I've stuck to that. She taught me to cook without all of the oils and all of the sauces that I used to use, which was amazing. And that last stubborn kind of 5 to 7 pounds just dropped off me over the time without really trying. And my energy improved, everything improved. But I know that a lot of it was because I wasn't alone. I was working, 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 but I was so cared for in my own home. And all of those cup of tea breaks, I had my best girlfriend there. And of course, we'd solve all the problems of the world together. So I had that regular daily interaction. And when they left, I was so sad and I spiraled. Whoop! straight into isolation. Stopped going dancing, probably drank too much Malbec red wine, which we were all enjoying while they were here. But, yeah, I spiraled. I gained almost a whole stone back, which I was really upset about because she'd gotten me down to like where I used to be in my 40s, really super fit. And yeah, I stopped doing all of the good stuff. I did stay on the organic food and not cooking with oils, so that was good. But I went back on sugar a little bit, not hugely. I'm totally back on the plan now, but it took me months to get my head trip back to that healthy space of, okay, so they've gone. It's okay. I can still live my life and take care of myself. That's why I reached out to other girlfriends this year and went to Italy and France to see people and reaching out to friends here more because I knew that I need more connection on a regular basis deeply with people that I love deeply who are speak in my world, for lack of a better way to put it. Right. So these are things that I intrinsically know about myself that has been a pattern through my life, right? Which parent did that? Probably my mother, because my father has his entourage of people around him all the time. But my mother, I can see now looking back how she would isolate. So I probably picked that up from her, right? So some things aren't as obvious as other things, but you're the only one who knows your truth. I also changed my diet radically. I went on the carnivore diet after I've been a vegetarian for 12 years in the past. I've always eaten healthily. Sugar is the number one worst thing you could possibly put in your body. So if you can, get off of sugar. Sugar took me a really long time to get off of because I was a sugar addict when I was younger. But carnivore, it beats the inflammation in your body. And that means eating meat products. So, butter, eggs, meat, chicken. And so I pretty much live on that. Then I thought, how can this work in the real world? Because this isn't really practical. I mean, I haven't eaten bread for years, although I keep a loaf of sourdough in the freezer because when you absolutely need to have carbs, for me, it's that piece of sourdough toast with butter on it. Ah, nothing, nothing works better. It's like chocolate. If you don't have safety food around, then you're going to eat the whole house wanting to fulfill that need for chocolate. So these are things I know about myself. So I have safety food hidden away in places so that it's there. If I need it, I can just have the one thing that I need and it's fine. But so carnivore, um, I went more on an ancestral diet thing. So some squashes, some melons, so that I could live in the real world and not be an impossible guest for dinner. And then I thought, if I'm a guest for dinner somewhere, I'll just eat whatever's served because one day off the plan is not going to kill me. So it's about finding your balance. So what's your balance? What is your balance? Where are you lacking? Do you isolate? Do you feed your sadness? Do you starve your sadness or upset or anger or frustration or whatever the emotion is? Do you go into denial, victimhood? Are you a fighter? Do you run away? Do you just get frozen, paralyzed? These are all things. In fact, that's something I balance all the time, the fight or flight response. What do you do when your chips are down? Notice your behavior because if you're consciously aware of what you do when you're really low, then it's going to be much easier to help yourself come out of that place and you'll know what you need to do. The more in tune you are with how your mind works and look at the subconscious stuff. I mean, that's why I always say book a call with me. Let's have a chat. Let's look at what's going on subconsciously. I offer a free call for everybody. And some people book an appointment to work with me after. Some people get their aha on the free call because it's just good to have another point of view with somebody who's practiced in this, been doing this for 25 years now. So it's quite fascinating. So why don't we just have a few downloads now? Because at the end of every show, I like to give you a download. So put your feet flat on the floor, have a little drink of water if you haven't already. I will too. Put your hands up so that you can receive, lower them down so you're not hovering. And if you want to receive this download, just say yes out loud when I say whatever it is. And as you all know, I'm winging this show, so I'm just going to say whatever comes up. I'm being guided clearly. Let's see. It'll be interesting to summarize this show. What did you talk about? Everything I could possibly think about. Okay, here we go. I know what being energetically balanced in my body feels like. Just say yes out loud if you'd like to receive that. It's safe for me to explore my shadow side, meaning the parts of yourself that you keep a secret to yourself about. You don't have to tell anybody else about it, but so many people don't ever go and get healing or go and have therapy because they don't want to dig up the past and feel all of those sad feelings again. But if you think about it, you're holding them in you subconsciously anyway, so better out than in, right? Let's see, what else can we do? It's easy for me to connect with my ancestors. And you might not think it's easy because they're dead and I can't talk to dead people, but you can. If you get really quiet and you go up, send your energy up and see who appears first. Just get out of your own way. That first person is the ancestor that's there to talk to you, and talk to them out loud and wait and see if you can hear a response or have a knowing or something. I talk to my mother in spirit every day and hear her laugh and just have a really good time. So have some fun with those downloads. It's been wonderful to just sit here and talk to you about all of the stuff that I'm thinking about all of the time, and sharing generally how I get through life in my best, positive, healthy, helpful way. I love you all so much. Thanks so much for tuning in, and apologies for not having the guest that was advertised, but you got me instead. Hooray! See you next time.
You have been listening to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with Shannon O'Flaherty on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we connect the dots between your ancestors, your birth, and the patterns that keep you stuck, guiding you to a place of profound healing and unstoppable brilliance. By examining and healing your cellular imprint from birth of how you perceive and respond to the world and the challenges that are created in your day-to-day life, we can begin to heal and live more balanced and fulfilling lives. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.